Well, hello and welcome to Chemistry 120, or first semester General Chemistry for the first summer session here at NTRIP. I am your instructor, John A. Strong. I'm sure some of you recognize my hands. Unfortunately, that's about all you're going to see of me this semester, unless you look at the introductory video on Blackboard. I do show my face there, and if you watch that, well, you know why I don't show my face more often. So anyway, I wanted to start out our session. I keep wanting to say semester, but session, with a little introduction to the course, go over the syllabus and a few other things, and then we can actually get right into the material. This is only a 6-week course that takes in about the same amount of material as a regular 15-week semester, so things are going to move pretty fast. So before we even start, I would say my first piece of advice is look at the schedules, look at the due dates of everything, and don't allow yourself to fall behind. It's hard enough to catch up once you fall behind during the school year, but during the summer, it's almost impossible. So that's the main thing. Just do whatever you have to do to keep up with things, because things are going to start coming pretty fast and furious once we're past this initial introduction. Anyway, okay, now that I've scared most of you away, those of you who are left, my email is listed here at the top of the syllabus. The syllabus is also posted in Blackboard. So if the resolution of this camera isn't that great, you don't have to worry if you can't read everything, because you can look at your own copy. You can print it out if you want. It's right there, on Blackboard for reference whenever you want. My email is weird. It's jo.strong@niagaracc.suny.edu. And it's weird for the same reason that I always emphasize my middle initial. It turns out there are 2 John Strongs at NTRIP, and people keep confusing us with each other. So basically, we've pretty much got everybody trained now to use our middle initials also. I'm John A. Strong, and the other one is him, the other guy. He was here first, so he got the normal email, J. Strong, and I got stuck with this weird thing, jo.strong. So be careful when sending an email that you're getting the right one. We know, we recognize each other's email and we'll forward it back and forth as needed, but that takes some extra time. So if you want a quick response, be sure you're sending it to the right one. Under the course materials here, we've got a couple of things. One is the course textbook, and it is Nivaldo Tro's Chemistry, a Molecular Approach. And the interesting thing about this, though, is that you can use any edition of that book you want. You don't have to buy the brand new one from the bookstore if you don't want to. There are copies of the second, I listed second and third editions as the preferred ones, but it's, I think, now in the 5th edition, so any of those 5 editions should do. There are copies of the 2nd and 3rd edition available online, places like eBay and Amazon, for $10 or less. So even if you pay for overnight shipping, you're still, saving a lot of money from the bookstore. The homework the homework problems are not assigned from this book, so that's why we say you can use any edition. Also, there is Sapling Access. Sapling is a software package that contains all kinds of resources, and it's also how we do the homework and quizzes and tests. So you definitely need this. You can buy this through the bookstore. If you're repeating Chem 120 at NTRIP, you may actually be able to get access to Sapling free this session if you send a help request to Sapling's customer service. They might hesitate, or they might try to talk you out of it, but ultimately, if you persist, they might actually transfer your name over for free. Okay, so be sure you get the Sapling, because we will definitely be using that. Let's see, you need Adobe Reader, because most of the stuff that I post on Blackboard will be in the form of PDFs. I think just about everybody has that on just about every device anyway. But be sure you can read PDFs. And also a scientific calculator. You do need a scientific calculator that can do exponents, scientific notation. That's the main thing. If it can do scientific notation, then it's probably okay for this course. For that matter, since we're not doing in-class assignments and tests, you could even use your cell phone, but just make sure that it can do scientific notation, powers of 10. The official course description tells you essentially what this is. It's first course of standard college general chemistry. It's the first semester in a 2-semester sequence. Next session, Chem 121 will be offered with a different instructor, but he'll continue on with basically the rest of the book. We'll get maybe a little less than halfway through the book, and he'll take you most of the way through the rest of it. Okay, this is really works best if you have some prior chemistry experience. I mean, like high school chemistry is fine, but if you have no chemistry experience at all, then you might have a little bit of difficulty. I mean, at this point, you might want to wait and see, but you're going to have to work even harder. Some of the things that we're going to want you to be able to do at the end of the course would be things like writing chemical formulas and naming compounds, or being able to write the formulas from the names. Calculate relationships between specific amounts of things within a chemical equation. That's what stoichiometric means. It's just a fancy word for, if I want to produce so much of this, then how much of that do I need? That kind of thing. Demonstrate your understanding of the electronic structure of atoms by writing electron configurations. That is, how many electrons does it have and where are they within the atom? Lewis structures have to do with the geometric shape, or it gives you the information to find the geometric shape of the molecules. So you're going to want to be able to do that by the end of the semester or session. And understand and calculate things involving the behaviors of gases. That'll actually be the last thing we do of the semester. There are some SUNY general education learning outcomes that you can look at also. Okay, so for prerequisites, there aren't any officially at NTRIP, but like I said, it would be really good if you'd taken some sort of chemistry before. There is a co-requisite, which is the lab that goes with this course. The lab has a different number. It's 111 instead of 120. I'm not sure why they did that. But anyway, hopefully you can take 111 lab at the same time. There's a special section in this syllabus, and it looks like somebody needs a new toner cartridge. But anyway, there's enough of it here that you can look at your own copy and see what's going on anyway. There's a brief description of what an online course is and how it's different from meeting in person. It means obviously that you don't have to come to campus, but it doesn't mean that all you have to do is hand your work in and be done with it. There is a discussion component that allows for interaction between students and the instructor, and you do have to participate in that to some extent. And that description is given in the introduction to the course on Blackboard. So be sure you're doing that as well. We have online attendance requirements too. We can track your attendance online through Blackboard. We can tell what you've looked at and how long you looked at it. And so I can tell if you're looking at the videos long enough to actually watch them. Now, of course, that doesn't guarantee that you're actually sitting in front of the computer actually watching it, but we can only go so far. Of course, you can come to class and sit there staring at me, and it doesn't prove that you're paying attention either. So that's about as far as we can go. But the fact that this course is compressed into 6 weeks means that it's going to take a lot of time. And hopefully you're not trying to take any other classes at this time, because between the lecture and the lab, your time is going to be pretty well filled up. The general breakdown of how the grading works is here on this page. Homework is about 20% of the overall grade. Homework is graded Actually, I'm sorry, that's changed a little bit. Homework is based on effort mostly, but also on accuracy. Um, basically, homework is through the sapling program. And the way it works is we tend to assign lots of relatively small assignments for a given chapter rather than one big one. And I generally make the assignments for a given chapter available around the time we start the chapter, and they will be due a day or two after we finish the chapter. And so be sure that you're looking over those homeworks and keeping up with them as we go along. That way you won't have a hard time finishing them up on time. It looks like a lot of homework assignments when you first look at it, but you'll notice pretty quickly that the sapling problems tend not to have a lot of parts, unlike the questions in the textbook, which will go like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and on and on and on. For sapling, it might have 2 or 3 parts at most, and that's usually it. So there are a lot of questions, but they tend to be short. Quizzes will be graded on accuracy, and I will try for partial credit on sapling. Sapling mostly does multiple choice questions, but not always. There are some that are not multiple choice. And so to the extent it's possible, I will allow partial credit. And the same with the exams. A lot of the questions will probably be multiple choice or short answer, but I will require that you hand in any work that you do on scrap paper for certain questions, and that will allow me to give you some partial credit. So I'll get the more details on the exams as one comes by. Oh yeah, and as for the timing, the quizzes, I'm planning on giving a quiz basically every weekend. I'll probably load it, make it available to you on Fridays, and it'll be due by Monday morning. For the exams, probably also on weekends. The quizzes will be every week. The exams will be every 2 weeks. We'll see how things work out, but right now I'm actually planning on giving you a quiz on the same weekends as you have an exam. You can consider the quiz to be sort of help preparing for the exam. And the quizzes are not very long. The exam will be available usually over the weekend, and it will be available for about 24 hours. And I will, announce ahead of time and let you know when it's coming. But basically you'll have a 24-hour window in which to do the exam. But once you start the exam, you will have a limited amount of time to finish it. So you can start the exam anytime within that 24-hour window. But once you start it, you have to finish it within, I haven't decided yet, but probably like an hour or an hour and a half. Okay, so keep that in mind, that there is a time limit, even though there's no specific time that you have to do it. And also, as I said, with the exams, I'm going to have you hand in any work that you did on certain questions, because there are a lot of questions in which all sapling wants you to do is write down the answer, but for a lot of these questions, you're going to have to do some work to get to the answer. And so that's the work that I'm going to want you to hand in. And that way, if you get the wrong answer, I can give you partial credit for what you did do right. The way that you can hand it in, and I'll detail this a little more as exam time comes near, but the way you can hand it in is basically by taking the sheets on which you did the work and either scanning them or taking a picture of them and sending it to me as an email attachment. And I will look them over, have a look at them before you send them, make sure that they're legible, because if I can't read them, I can't give you credit for them. But once you make sure that I can read them, send them to me as an email attachment, and then I'll have a look at them. And also, discussion is 10%. Let's see, late work that is on homework will be accepted, but there will be a point penalty. I accept late work, and the point penalty actually isn't all that big, to be fair, to be honest. But The important thing for the homework is practice, practice, practice. The important thing is that you do it. So basically, I only take a little off if it's late. Oh yeah, and also on the homework, the sapling program is set up so that you can actually have multiple tries at each homework question, and you lose a little bit of credit for each successive wrong answer. You can also get hints as to where you went wrong, or to push you in the right direction of the answer. Some of the hints will cost you some points, some of them won't. So you might want to use the free hints first. But so take advantage of that, and don't give up on the homework questions if you don't get the right answer the first time, because you can still get almost all the credit if you get it the second time. Okay, so for the discussion, this rubric here, this is sort of like grading criteria, will be used to determine what percent of the possible grade for the discussion you get. These are percentages over here. So like if you do a really excellent job on the discussions, you can get 100% of 10%. And if you do a good job, then you can 90% of 10%. So that's how that works. There is a discussion for each module in the course. If you look at Blackboard, you'll notice the course is divided up into several modules of a few chapters each. And so every time we start a new module, there's another discussion that's going to have to be done. The discussion asks for a couple of points that you found really meaningful or surprising or useful for the material that we've covered up to that point. And also it asks for what they call your muddiest point, that is the thing that you had the most trouble understanding. And that last one actually can be very useful for discussion among students. Very often one of the other students will have a way of looking at it that makes more sense to you. And also I'll be checking in from time to time, and so I can contribute also. If you have an urgent question about the material for me, then by all means send me an email directly and I'll get back to you right away. All the official course communications are sent through your NTRIP T-Wolves email, so be sure to check that frequently. Also check Blackboard frequently. Yeah, and I check my email frequently. The final grade scale will be based on percentage, and it's the standard percentage that's used at a lot of colleges, and it's pretty much the same for most classes at NTRIP. If you're on the borderline and you've been diligent and doing well and participating in all the discussions and everything like that, then I might give you a little push up into the next category for the grade. The course expectations are in the syllabus too. You should definitely review those in detail. And so the main thing is that you have to keep on top of things. And so you should definitely print the course schedule. That's what it says here in case you can't read it. And hang it by your computer so that you have sort of at a glance, you know what's going on and what's due when. The nice thing about doing the online course is that the materials are available 24/7. So you can get up at 3 o'clock in the morning if you can't sleep and do some work, and that's no problem. This part here actually, sorry, it says I do not accept late assignments. That was actually carried over from a previous instructor's syllabus, so you can ignore that. Up in the grading criteria here, where it says late work is accepted but with a small penalty, that is what applies to this semester. Okay, so you can cross that out. Okay, so be sure to plan ahead. And again, if you fall behind, you're going to have a really hard time catching up. And so what I expect from you is listed down here. I expect you to log in and spend at least 3 hours 3 times a week on this course. That's kind of just a ballpark figure. Some people will require more than that. Some will require less if you're pretty good at chemistry. So, but it's going to take time. So, make no mistake. In fact, if this time includes watching the videos, the videos of the lectures themselves are going to be about 8 hours a week right there. The class meets, when it meets in person, it meets for 2 hours a day, Monday through Thursday during the session. And in order to cover the amount of material that we need to cover, my video lectures are going to have to be about that long, probably. Things do tend to go faster on video than they do in person, so it might be a little less than that, but it's going to take some time. And in fact, it's a really good idea to watch the lecture videos more than once. Watch it the first time just to get the idea of what I'm talking about, and then watch it again and take notes on it. And that way it'll stay with you better, you'll find. When writing the discussions, be sure to use proper grammar. This is not instant messaging your friends. It is a formal discussion, so be sure to use proper spelling and grammar and capitalization and all of that stuff. And of course, don't be a jerk online. I know that a lot of people seem to turn into jerks when they go online, if you've ever read comment sections, but try not to. Same thing here. No profanity, no swearing, no death threats or anything like that. What you can expect from me is, well, I'm to log on at least 3 times a week. That's going to be easy because I'm probably going to be logging on several times a day. So I'll beat that by a mile, and I will participate in the discussions. Maybe not every day, but frequently. And I will answer your emails promptly as I can. And I'll keep the lessons up to date. If you go to the Blackboard site, you'll see that that there are PowerPoints for lectures that are posted throughout the entire semester, and that's because they're given to us by the publishers, so they were ready to go, on day one. The PowerPoints are a very useful way of reviewing the material that we've gone over, but they are not a substitute for watching the lecture videos. There are a lot of details that the PowerPoints leave out. That's why I say the PowerPoints are a good summary. But there are a lot of details that we go over in the lecture videos that are not in the PowerPoints. So look at the PowerPoints, yes, but be sure to watch the lecture videos too. Also, some of the PowerPoints somehow got out of order. I'm not sure how that happened. So they don't always make a sense. They don't always make a lot of sense until you've seen the lecture videos and you can say, oh yeah, that belongs up there. I didn't have time to rearrange them. I will do that when I get a chance. Okay, I'm not available 24/7, but I'm going to be available a lot. Make sure that you have a plan if you have technical problems. That you have an alternate computer that you can use, or an alternate phone that you can use, an alternate internet connection, a relative's house, or maybe N-Trip, actually. You can't go in the buildings, but the N-Trip's Wi-Fi signal does reach the parking lots. So you can always take your laptop and go to the N-Trip parking lot and use it there. Also, places like public libraries and, say, Wegmans stores, you might not want to go in the store with your laptop just to use the internet connection, but their signal usually reaches the parking lot too, so you can probably use that. If there are problems with Blackboard, technical problems rather than problems with the material, for problems with the material, you'd want to go to me, obviously. If there are problems with the the program itself, then there is an Open SUNY help desk, and its number is right here, 844-673-6786. In case you can't read it, you can also look at your own copy. And I guess that's it for the syllabus. Let's see if there's anything else I wanted to mention. Oh yeah, like I said, the lecture normally meets 2 hours a day, Monday through Thursday, and that is pretty much the schedule I'm going to keep up with the lecture videos. Now, this course is entirely asynchronous. You can watch the lecture videos anytime you want. But as for when they will be posted, they will be posted generally Monday through Thursday, and each lecture will be a total of about 2 hours each. I will be breaking the videos up into smaller pieces, though, because a 2-hour video is really hard to handle. They're really big. So there will generally be probably 4 30-minute parts to each lecture. Okay, I've covered the homework and the quizzes, the exams in detail. I'll have more on that as time goes on. Discussions, PowerPoint, okay, well, I think I've discussed just about everything I wanted to for the introduction. And it has been just under 30 minutes. So what do you know? Things are working pretty well so far. Oh, yeah, okay, there is one thing I didn't mention, and that is the schedule. The schedule for the semester, there's one of these on Blackboard also, and you'll notice there's a lot of stuff there. This is an entire semester crammed into 6 weeks. And where we are right now is the syllabus and the course introduction. And the rest of today's lecture, the other 3 30-minute videos, will be taken up with sections 1.1 through 1.4 in the TRO textbook. Like I said, though, I'm following the sequence in the textbook to make it easy for you to follow along and to look up the information and further examples and things like that once you have the book. But you can do, but like I said, since the homework is not from the book, you can actually do without the book for a little while. I would get the book as soon as you can, but if it's going to take a couple of days to order it and get it to you, a couple of days really won't hurt. So that's the first lecture there, and so this goes throughout the entire semester. It gives the date. Basically, this is the date when the lecture would have been delivered if we were meeting in person, just to sort of keep track of things, and also the day number during the session down the second column here. The lectures will be posted on or before the date listed, and they will be posted with that date as part of the title, or the day number as part of the title, just to help you keep them straight so you know which lecture it is that you're looking at. And the parts will be labeled A, B, C, and D. So it's like lecture 1, part A, lecture 1, part B, and so on throughout the rest of the semester. And so hopefully we'll have not too much trouble keeping to this schedule. We may start slowing down near the end. Actually, this was a really ambitious schedule. It shows us getting to chapter 12. We probably won't get there. If we're lucky, we'll get a little bit into chapter 11. But I don't know if I'd bet money even on that. Notice also that the chapters are not entirely in order. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we skip 5 and 6, and then we go to 7, 8, 9, 10. Then we do 5. Then if we have time, we do 11 and 12. Whoops, 11 and 12. And we never do 6, because 6 will be done in Chem 121. Okay, so that's just the order of the chapters in the TRO book is a little weird, so we changed it around a little bit. Okay, well, I've got 29 minutes on the timer, so that worked out pretty well. I will see you for part B in a moment.